Well, hello, Callie. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Another week done in Minnesota. We're fishing, huh? You catching some fish?
Yeah.
You're done with school, so the kiddos are done with school. We're already into the second full week of June, but you could have fooled me because it feels like it's July or August. It was scorching hot, 90-some degree weather. I'll tell you what, the last few days felt pretty nice, didn't it? Wasn't super hot. You still went outside and played, but you weren't sweating. You know what? I feel bad for the kiddos that had to go to school last week or so because it was hot in the classroom. Was it really hot at school? Yeah, it was hot on the lake too. What?
Today I'm going to a birthday party.
She gets to go to a birthday party tonight, so she's pretty lucky. Gonna go to a birthday party and have a good time, right? That's what summer break's all about, is having fun. So yeah, this past week we had a lot more warm weather. I mean, I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all hit 90s. In fact, I think we had a day in the hundreds on Thursday, 101 degrees here in the Twin Cities. And like I said, it's funny because it's not even summer yet. So we have all this warm weather, and we were talking about how hot it is. Water temps are in the 80s, surface temps are in the 80s, and we haven't even started summer. So we're way ahead of schedule. Everything's about 2 weeks up, in my opinion. We are finding fish in their summer patterns now, and I gradually followed them out all week. Monday, Tuesday, 6, 7 feet, 8, 7, 8 feet, 9 feet. Thursday, 10 feet, 11 feet. This weekend, 12 feet, 14 feet. It's funny how we're just following these fish out. And I hit a variety of different lakes, spent a lot of time on Lake Minnetonka, did really well this week catching fish. We used the Jig Worm, we used the Ned Rig, we did some wacky rig fishing, spent some time on Mille Lacs, chasing smallmouth, chasing walleyes. If you didn't tell me anything, well, if I didn't know better, I would assume it's summertime on the way these fish are acting. So if you love summer patterns, get out there and fish your summer patterns, because tell you what, that's where the fish are. They are biting the deep weed lines. Not super deep yet, so I do take some of that back. They're not out there in 18, 25 feet of water. I'm talking 10 to 14 feet, some fish in 16 feet right now on the metro lakes, and it's pretty fun, pretty good time. I'm enjoying it a lot. So like I said, we're finding water temps in the low 80s already. It's crazy. It feels good, and you can walk in the water. People and anglers and lake dwellers are swimming and paddleboarding and kayaking and tubing and skiing and doing all that fun stuff that you'd want to do on the water. So it's super cool to see the activity out there. One thing I want to stress that I think we always should remember, every one of us, is etiquette on the water. Man, it's busy. We're seeing record number of fishing license sales. We're seeing record number of boaters. We're seeing record number of people just in general on the water. So you want to make sure that you practice safety and etiquette. Be respectful of other people, and remember, things can turn south in a hurry if you're not careful on the water. So you don't have brakes on boats, you don't have brakes on jet skis. So always practice caution when you're running and zipping around the lakes, especially with this many people. No hat? Decide to take the hat off? Yeah, that's okay. You know, just enjoying the day. Kids have been swimming in the kiddie pool, slip and slide, all that kind of stuff. So one thing I touched on last week that I want to reiterate again this week is the importance of keeping your body comfortable and safe and healthy. Whether it's hydrating, we should drink a lot of water, drink Gatorade, bring that kind of stuff on the boat with you. Protecting your skin, whether it's with sunscreen, protective clothing like Blackfish gear. I'm always fishing like this. I got my hood up a lot, right? Does that look goofy? It's comfortable, I'll tell you what. So a lot of times I'm fishing like this, keeping the sun and stuff off me as much as I can. So you have the ability to keep your skin comfortable and your body heat regulated. So the nice thing about Blackfish gear, without getting off on a tangent, is it truly wicks the moisture and truly keeps your body temperature cool. So other fabrics, other brands out there might chemically treat their material. At Blackfish, we don't do that, so it really keeps your body temperature cool and keeps you comfortable on the water, so you can stay out there longer and stay fishing. So make sure you take care of your body, super important. Wear a pair of swim trunks. That's one tip I give a lot of anglers, is throw your swim trunks on when you're fishing. Swimsuit, like your swimsuit. Wear your swimsuit when you're fishing, because you can jump in for a few minutes and then climb back out, and it just cools you off, feels nice, keeps your mind right. So those are some things I like to do. in terms of how we're catching our fish, I just put a video out yesterday on jig worm fishing, and that encompasses jig worms, Ned rigs. There's a variety of ways you can do it, and that's how we're catching a lot of our fish right now. We're fishing jig worms, we're fishing Ned rigs, we're fishing
Ned
rigs. Yeah. Want to see what a Ned rig is? I'm going to show you what a Ned rig is. But you've used one, so you probably already know. But I'm going to show everybody one. So we're catching fish there, and one thing I would tell anglers is, if you're not pulling it through the weeds, like a lot of my clients are like, oh, I'm catching weeds. Perfect. That's where you want to be. So if you're not like popping it through the weeds, or once in a while removing weeds off your hook, you're not in the right spot. So that's where the fish are. They're in those weeds. They're not up in the nasty 5, 6, 7 foot gnarly milfoil. There's some fish there, sure, but they're on that immediate first break edge in 10 to 14 feet of water. And I'm going to show you how we're fishing our fish. So I'm using a Mighty Head from All Terrain. It's a long shanked jig worm head, and I like this because it's got a little 45-degree bend in the hook eye, and it's got, I'll show you, it's got a long shanked hook. And I know a lot of guys and gals that Ned rig fish like that short shank hook, and that can work too. Ooh, you got a crankbait there. But I'm using this Mighty Head jig, and I'll show you. A crankbait is like that, where you crank it in, like reel it in, or it has a bunch of treble hooks on it. See all them hooks on that thing? That's what people call a crankbait. So this is the Mighty Head jig. You can see it's a pretty long shank hook there, and it's got a flat base underneath it where I can butt a plastic up against it. You can see, I don't know if you can see on the camera, that hook guy has got a little bit of a 45-degree bend on it. And I like the way that fishes in the water. It helps me with hookups, and it's got a nice plastic keeper. So I'm using that Mighty Head in, I might start at an 1/8 ounce, and I might go up to a 3/16, or I might even drop down depending on what I can do. I like to get away with the lightest jig possible so that I can still make contact with the lure and feel the bait, especially in that it kind of plinkles through those weeds. That's a crankbait too, see? Crankbait. That's a pretty one. So here's the Mighty Head, and I'm fishing it variety of different ways. Obviously my trusty Kamita, I catch a lot of fish with that. We were wacky rig fishing this on Mille Lacs yesterday, catching big smallmouth. There were still some fish on beds, and they were late into the shallow rocks. But on lakes like Minnetonka and here in the metro, where I'm doing most of my fishing, I'm fishing this as a jig worm. And there's really 2 ways you can fish a jig worm, well, multiple ways. One, I just thread it on there just like I would any plastic. That's just a little jig, a little walleye jig. And I push it all the way up to the head of that hook, and there you go. I got myself a 5-inch profile jig worm. And the nice thing about fishing a Kamito or a Senko, this kind of bait on this, is it shoots down the weeds. It plummets quickly, and it can be really effective when you got weed growth because it's not falling as slow through. So it kind of shoots right down, work that back to the bait, to the boat, catch a lot of fish on a presentation like this. This is green pumpkin. Nothing super fancy, catches a bunch of fish. Chartreuse head, green pumpkin tail is kind of one of my go-tos. And then I was talking about shortening this up. So you get sometimes some fish that just don't want to crush it. So I'll take that exact same presentation. Now this is going to be kind of like a modified Ned rig. So when you talk about a Ned rig is really intentional to be a finesse version of a jig worm. Small profile, and you can use this same hook. There are guys and gals, like I said, that want to use a shorter shanked hook on a Ned rig. I still use a longer shanked hook. I have not seen it make a huge difference, and all I'm doing is taking that same plastic, and I'm taking a couple inches off it. Now I just got a tiny little stub tail, and I'm putting it right back on. So when you start to wear out your plastics like that, even wacky rigging, don't throw them away. Rip them in half and use them as Ned rigs. And you put it right back on here. You can see here, I'm gonna push this. How's that look? How's that look? And there you go. Well, there's your Ned rig. Small little stubby thing. Some days that is what catches the fish, is that Ned rig right there. So that's a great way to catch fish. You can cover a variety of water. You can cast it in 6 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, 25 feet, and cover water here with that Ned rig. And then the other presentation I like to use a lot, and I'm using this color just because of visual appeal, is that pocket fry. It's a thinner profile bait. There's another shallow diving crankbait. So you got this pocket fry. You can see in my hand right there, it's just a lot more limp. I know. I knew this would catch your eye. It's like a limp noodle. It's just a pocket fry. I'll wacky rig fish this, but I also fish this same way on this jig worm if I want a different presentation. If I want this to hit the bottom and kind of flop around a little more, again, different strokes for different folks. I will fish this guy on there just like I did the Kamita. Again, just a little smaller profile, but you can see just in my hand how much that flops down. So when that thing hits the bottom of the leg, it dances. And oftentimes what I do with this, more so than not, is I fish it Ned Rig style. And again, I'm just taking some of it off there, so I got a smaller profile. Yep, there's another wacky rig. And I'm threading this, like I said, this bad boy on this hook. Putting it all the way up. Ooh, it looks tasty. I might actually leave this one tied like this and fish it. Or do you want to fish that one? And there you go. Little Ned Rig.
6.
It catches a lot of fish, this small profile bait. If you look at anybody fishing this tournament series, you talk to any professional bass angler and talk about Ned Rigs, they go, yeah, we always fish Ned Rigs, it catches fish. So Ned Rigs, that's a Ned Rig. Small little profile Jig Worm, and that catches a bunch of fish. So that's the main ways we're catching our fish. You can use drop shots right now. You can flip a jig. I pitch a jig. We're going to be probably flipping jigs more in heavy cover in the coming weeks. But right now I got the spinning rod in my hand a lot, and I'm fishing a Jig Worm or a Ned Rig to catch a lot of our fish. Nico Rig's another way to do it. Search Nico Rig on YouTube. You see a lot of great options. Ooh, look at that crayfish. That's a cute little guy. Search Nico Rig, N-E-K-O on YouTube, and you'll see some ways to fish and learn about the Nico Rig. That's another way. It's kind of like a same concept as a Jig Worm. You're going to fish it in the same type of cover. I know a lot of guys that do well in that, but for simplicity purposes, I tie on that mighty head and I fish a plastic tail. And they got tails that have curly tails. You got all kinds of stuff. Lots of ways to fish a Jig Worm. But that's the concept right there behind the Jig Worm. So, and I'm using 6.5 foot, ooh, salamander, lizard. 6.5 foot or 7 foot spinning rods. I prefer a medium action rod that gives you the best of both worlds. You can do a medium heavy if you like to have a little more oomph, and you can get away with the medium light, but I'd encourage you to use a medium because you're oftentimes tangling up in the weeds. And then I use 20-pound braid, and I use a fluorocarbon leader about 3 to 4 foot long. And I use 10 to 14-pound fluorocarbon and tie it direct to that bad boy. So that's how I'm fishing these fish. I think we're going to see a lot of warm weather again this week. You like the warm weather? That means you get to play outside and jump around in the sprinkler. So more warm weather this week. I expect to see the exact same pattern. And I'm going to be on the water a bunch this week, probably targeting fish the same way I just explained to you. That immediate weed line, cover water, they're schooling up. I might skip some docks if we continue to get this high sun. I'm looking outside right now. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it's warm. You know, we're back into the 80s and 90s and it's looking like that all week. So get used to it, be comfortable, but again, stay hydrated, stay cool, be smart. If you can pick your window of time to fish, fish from sunrise until lunchtime. If you can't pick your window of time to fish, get out there. Heck, one of our best bites this week was from like 2 to 4 o'clock. So even during the heat of the battle, we catch some nice fish. That's a jig head. Jack made that one. So get out there, have some fun, catch some fish. You made that one? Oh.
Yeah. It's in my hand.
Oh, you made those jigs. That's right. Good job, babe. And get out there and chase some fish and have some fun. So next weekend's Father's Day. When I come back to you next Sunday, it'll be Father's Day. Take care of your dads. Make sure you give them a call if you don't see them often. Heck, even better, get them out fishing and catch a few fish. So have fun out there, kiddos. Congratulations for making it through another school year. I think most of the state, if not all the state, is now done with school. Nice job well done. It wasn't easy this past year with everything going on, and we completed another another school season, and away we go. Callie's got one more thing to show you. She's got her jigs, your ice fishing jigs, your panfish jigs. We use those off the dock at the cabin, don't we?
You can't use these because these are mine.
All right, give me a high five. Thanks for being on the video. Say bye to everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right, go out there, catch some fish, have some fun, be safe.
Hope you get breakfast.
Bye, Callie.